So let's work on problem number 13. Problem number 13 says prism X is shown below. The volume of prism Y is 10 cubic centimeters greater than the volume of prism X. So we can see prism X, and we can see that, according to the key, that each one of those cubes is worth 1 cubic centimeter. And then we have two questions. The first one is, what is the volume of prism Y? And the second one, what could be the length, width, and height of prism Y? So, let's take a look. Now, we know if we're working with volume, we need to be thinking about those two volume formulas that we know. We know volume equals the area of the base times height, and we know that volume equals length times width times height. And depending on what we know will help us to decide which formula we're going to use. So, if you take a look at this problem, in order to figure out the volume of prism Y, I need to know the volume of prism X, because the problem tells us that prism Y is 10 cubic centimeters greater. So, let's start by finding the volume of prism X. Remember, with any formula, I want to write my formula down, I want to substitute, and I want to solve. So in order to figure this out, I do need to know the length, the width, and the height of prism X, or the area of the base and the height. So I'm going to find the length, the width, and the height. So if I look at this, I can see that my length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my L is 5. I can see that my width is 1, 2. My width is 2. And my height is 3. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 layers. So now, to find the volume of X, notice I'm labeling my volume because I do have two different prisms that we're talking about. The volume of X equals the length times the width times the height. So I copied down that formula. Now I'm going to say that volume equals, my length is 5. So I'm substituting 5 in for my length. I'm going to substitute the 2 in for my width. And I'm going to substitute the 3 in for my height. And now I can see that the volume is 5 times 2 is 10, times 3 is 30 centimeters cubed. And that's the volume of X. But I don't want the volume of X, I want the volume of Y. And I know that prism Y is 10 cubic centimeters greater than the volume of prism X. So I'm going to take my volume for X, and I am going to add those 10 cubic centimeters. And I'm going to find out that the volume of Y equals 40 cubic centimeters. Now, it's always important when you have these multi-step problems to make sure that your answer is clear, and the best way to do that is circle your final answer. So now it's asking what could be the length, the width, and the height of prism Y. So what 3 numbers could I multiply together to get 40? Now when I'm looking at this, I noticed something. Did anybody notice that each layer had 10 cubic centimeters in it? So each layer, when I look at that top layer, I can see that it has 10 cubic centimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is adding a whole nother layer. Could I take this and instead of for prism Y, could I add another layer and say that my height was 4? Yeah, I could. So I could say that I have my length equals 5, my width equals 2, and my height equals 4. And that could be the length, width, and height of prism Y, because 5 times 2 is 10 times 4 is 40. I could find any three numbers though, because it doesn't say that I added another layer. I just noticed that in the problem, and that helped me get my answer quicker. I could take any three numbers though, and as long as those three numbers multiplied together to get 40, it would work. So for example, I could say that my length was 8, and my width was 5, and my height was 1. There was only one layer. Because 8 times 5 times 1 would also give me 40. But it's just asking for one combination, so I don't want to put down too many. This is definitely one that would work.